Here we have Pete. So you have good body position. Your hips and legs are level with your upper body. You're turning to breathe pretty comfortably. And then some of the things we discussed during the lesson. Your turnover or your tempo is a little slow or delayed, meaning when you extend forward like that and then you have a sort of pause or a glide. The pause will typically wind up, you'll decelerate a bit. So you don't want any time where you're not actively pulling or pushing with your arms, or very, very little time. So here you have a slight pause, there you got a slight pause. As you get faster, you can afford to do that. But even then, you really just don't want much of a pause. You want to extend forward fully. That's a good thing. Your reach with your right arm, you get a better view underwater, but it looks like you extend somewhat downward. I think we talked about extending directly forward as opposed to down. And then with the kick, your kick is all right. It looks like it's supporting your stroke timing well. Some ankle flexibility will help. You notice how your feet are sort of pointed down towards the bottom of the pool as opposed to having your toes pointed towards the back of the pool. When that happens, excuse me. So when that happens, some of the energy of your kick doesn't really go into moving you forward. So here we get a view of two things. One is your streamline, which is pretty good. Your torso and legs are staying in the same sort of tunnel or line that your upper body is making. So that's good. That right arm is entering very wide. So you could enter, I tell people to enter wide like that, but you're just slightly too wide, so you would enter a little further towards the middle, not directly in front of your head, maybe just slightly more towards the middle. Looks like the same thing with the left arm as well. Yeah, so definitely angling downward a little too deep with that right arm before you start the catch or the pull phase of the stroke. Left arm extension is pretty good. Now with that right arm, you're getting initial catch motion or a high elbow catch, elbows coming up, and then your hand does a quick sort of S, like a quick in and out movement, so you give up some grab on the water when your hand does that, or some leverage on the water. With your left arm, sort of a straight arm pull down, and then the quick back and forth S as well. In the second video, I'll have some freeze frames for you, so you can look at it sort of step by step. And then you can see
working on hand entering the water more along the front of the shoulder.
Here we were trying to get your arms in
well outside the body
more in
line.
front when you entered, and this is good. You can see the difference if you go back and watch the beginning here. Now, one thing we may not have discussed this in the lesson is that in general you're going to want your hands to remain below your elbows or lower than your elbows as you bring your arm through the recovery phase of the stroke. The recovery phase is when your arm is coming back around to the front. So here on some of them you can see how your hand's sort of swinging up higher than your elbow. The issue there is that motion with the hand above the elbow actually puts a little extra strain on your shoulders. So when you get into longer swims, you know, mile, half mile, 2 miles, Ironman, you will wind up with some excessive shoulder fatigue if you were to swim with that higher arm recovery. Or
Here we go, working on hand entry. Alright, that right is a lot better. There you go. Very good. So this is working on extending really well. Very good. So between the improved entry point and the extension here, this looks really smooth. You're not getting a lot of head motion. If you notice where your head's going. Oh, there you went under. Okay. All right, maybe a little head motion. But this is a really nice reach. So this is working on the high elbow catch underwater. It's a really good beginning on that right. You got that little bit of a pitch as you get about midway. That left is better. So that left one is the one that your hand was going external, internal, external. That's much improved with your left. Very good. So one arm drill working on the catch. See that slight inward motion you got going on there.